Yo, out of Troy! Yo, what's up, everybody? Today, look, we have something a bit different. We are going to be going through the entire list of every Faustian Bargain mob in Dark and Darker and rating them from S to F tier. Now, a bit of background here. I've only been playing Faustian Bargain in Dark and Darker since they released this feature. I haven't played the game regularly in so long, it feels like. It's kind of crazy to say, but I absolutely love this feature and I've sunk in a lot of hours into this. I've organized these based on map, with one category being general, which are things like skeletons, mummies, and spiders, which can be found in pretty much every map. Now, starting from the top in no particular order, if we start with Inferno here, there's only 4 Inferno-specific mobs, starting with the Ghoul. Now, the Ghoul's a cool one because he does have a pretty strong lunge attack, and his M1, his left click, is quite good. You have a combo on it. Honestly, I would stick Ghoul somewhere in A tier. He has a reliable lunge, and he's fast, and he's quite stealthy too. When you hold shift on the Ghoul, he makes no noise whatsoever. Next is the Demon Berserker. Easily, Berserker goes into S tier. Now, if you get an elite Berserker, he actually has a second ability on his right click, which gives him a 360 slash. So we could categorize elite Demon Berserker easily in S, so far holding #1 rank. Afterwards, we have the Demon Centaur. Now, you would think, hey, the Centaurs are probably pretty strong, right? You'd be incorrect. Honestly, the Centaurs kind of suck. Now, the Centaur does have an ability on his Q which allows him to lunge, and that attack is pretty good, but if you're relying on his M1 to get damage out, well, good luck, because everybody knows the Centaur's attack patterns, and you'll just get dodged out. Sure, you can redirect your attack slightly. That was a change they made a few weeks ago, but it's really not good. I would honestly put Centaur in C tier. He is not great. You can maybe argue B, so somewhere in the middle here. Let's put him in between for now. And the last Inferno mob is the Hell Maggot. Well, this mob kind of just sucks. You're tiny, sure you have a bit of a lunge attack, but it's just impossible to play. I'm going to put Hell Maggot as F. The main issue why it's so low is half of the spawns for this mob, you're just in a pitch black room and it's very hard to even escape, and I'm hoping that's something that Iron Mace changes, because oftentimes you're spawning as a mob and you're in an inescapable room where you have to find a lever in pitch blackness and it's just too difficult. Half the time you just have to respawn anyways. So that's our first F tier mob. Now, if we look at Ice Caverns and Ice Abyss, we have a much larger roster here, actually the biggest out of all the maps, really. Starting with the Kobolds. Now, I recently have grown quite fond of the Kobold. They did make some changes a couple weeks back, which modified a lot of the mobs, and Kobold feels quite good. Honestly, I would easily put Kobold in B or A tier. The trick with Kobold is you don't want to use his M1. You want to use his M2, his right click. That's a shield bash, and you can actually incorporate a jump attack into the Kobold shield bash. So honestly, that brings Kobold to an easy B tier. Now the fun stuff, off to the skeletons. We have our first amazing skeleton, the Frost Skeleton Archer. Look, guys, this mob is absolutely insane, easily overtaking the Demon Berserker. Look, I said it here first. The Frost Archers are the best Faustian Bargain mob. You can't argue otherwise. So there's a bit of a learning curve when it comes to the archers, but once you nail that accuracy down, they're great. If you incorporate jump shots and bunny hopping, archers are very strong. But the Frost Skeleton Archer in particular also has a melee attack on his right click. It's a combo attack as well. You get 2 hits out of it and it's very fast. If you get a Frost Skeleton Archer in either Abyss or Caverns, yeah, you're chilling. This is the best mob you want. You can easily grind out your dailies with this mob, and it's just fun, honestly. Bunny hopping everywhere is totally great. Next, we have the Frost Skeleton Felling Axeman. Well, this just goes straight into F tier. Simply not worth it. His recovery time, if you miss a swing, is way too long. If you do manage to hit a target, you can then hit him with a nice burst, but it's so rare you're going to get a hit with that. Unless you're, third-partying a fight and sneaking up behind somebody, you won't get very much done with it. So he's definitely on the bottom. Now next we have the Frost Skeleton Footman. This is just a basic, simple skeleton. The Footman skeletons after the recent changes are quite good. If you use their right click attack instead of their left click, you can incorporate a jump shot. This easily brings them into A tier. I would say very well ahead of the Ghoul. Skeleton Footmen are good, and the Frost equivalents, I mean, hey, you have a slow on your attack as well, plus they look pretty cool, so that's nice. Now Frost Skeleton Guardsman was in the game for quite a while. They did recently add Guardsman to Ruins, but it is actually a different mob. So in Frost, you have your right click, which is like a stab, and honestly, it's not very good. He's slow, he's really hard to hit, you can't jump shot with him, he's easily in D tier. The Frost Skeleton Guardsman is no good. Next we have the Frost Skeleton Halberdier, easily an A tier mob. His left click is quite strong. He has a combo attack. On his first shot he lunges, and the range on it's quite good and quite fast. Now if you're going for that second attack, that's when things really start to slow down. On the Halberdier, you really just want to keep, you really only want to use your first M1, but he's easily an A tier. I would say probably above the Frost Footman here, so let's put him at the front of A. Afterwards, we have the Frost Maceman, another solid mob. Now, early on in Faustian Bargain, the Maceman was probably one of the best you can get. He had the combo attack, he was strong, he has the shield, he's a good one, but the power spike has since shifted the roles. He has fallen down the ladder. I would put Maceman down to about a B tier. He feels about the same as a Kobold. He's slow, but you can get damage out. Definitely not the best, though. Now we have the Frost Skeleton Crossbowman. This is a new addition. As of just a couple weeks ago, they gave us Crossbowman. You would hope that this mob was strong, but it simply is not. The main reason being is after you shoot on the Crossbowman, it forces you to reload right away, and you can't move while reloading. So after you shoot, you are stuck there. You cannot move. He's a one-hit wonder. Sure, maybe if you can point blank somebody like a shotgun in the head and get the kill, great. But otherwise, this mob is meant to stay long range, and it simply is not very strong. So I'll say F tier. It has potential, but it's simply too difficult. And now we have the Frostwalker. This is easily down in F tier. I'm sorry, Iron Mace. Yo, these zombies and Frostwalkers, they're so bad. You can't jump shot with this mob. They're very slow. Sure, they have an ability. So the Frostwalker specifically, he has his slowing aura that you can use. I mean, I guess it's cool, but like, come on. It's useless. This mob sucks. If you ever spawn as a Frostwalker, just respawn and try again. And here we have the Frost Wolf. Another mob in the ice caverns. Now, Wolf is decent. It's not the best. I would say it's definitely below the Maceman here, but you can get some damage out. The trick with the Wolf is you don't want to M1. Always just use your M2. You can also incorporate a jump into your attack, so you can redirect mid-jump, and it's decent. It feels actually very similar to the Kobold, so the Frost Wolf is easily in B tier. Now we get to the sub-bosses of Ice Caverns and Ice Abyss, starting with the Yeti in Caverns. Okay, look, the Yeti is very strong. This is easily an S tier. You may have seen some of my videos where I get multi-kills. Well, hey man, it's very possible to get multiple kills with this mob. He is extremely healthy. He has great combo attacks. Which includes a really long range lunge, which is great. It's a gap closer essentially. You can gain a lot of distance on people with it. And he's healthy as hell. It's really hard to kill the Yeti. So Yeti easily is in S tier. I would say above the Elite Berserker. And going down to the Ice Abyss, we have the Frost Demon. Look, I gave Frost Demon a good chance. I know this was the first sub-boss people got their hands on with Faustian Bargain. Early on, for some reason, you could get the Frost Demon at what, like level 4 affinity or something? Early on, he was really, really weak. Very situational. But they since have changed it so you can actually bunny hop with this guy. Now, he has potential. He's a bit rough, though. I don't know why the Frost Demon doesn't have his Blizzard attack. Like, come on, that'd be sick. Give us Blizzard on the Demon. That'd be great, man. Because otherwise, he's really weak. But if you happen to get people stuck in a room and you're just peppering them with your ice bolts, well, hey, in that situation, it's pretty good. Okay, on to the Ruins mobs. We have only 4 mobs that are unique to Ruins, starting with the Dire Wolf. Now, he is an exact replica of the Frost Wolf, so we'll put it right beside him in B tier. Again, you want to use the right click on this mob. Left click, you can do a combo attack, but the range is so short, it's quite hard to get damage out. Unless you get the approach on somebody and they don't know you're there, you won't get very much damage out. Next, we have the slime. Now, slimes are an interesting one. The main issue with slimes is that because you're such a small mob low to the ground, the camera is also right near the ground. And in ruins, this is a big issue because there's a lot of grass, there's a lot of rubble, a lot of things that get in the way of the camera. When you're looking up, trying to attack your target, the camera's jumping all over the place. It makes it really hard to do anything. Now, otherwise, the slime's left click is a combo attack. It's actually pretty good. He has decent range and he does good damage. It's just too hard to hit anything. So for that reason, I'm putting slime in D tier. Now, if they change where the camera sits, I could see slime climbing up in this chart easily. Next, we have the Cockatrice. Yo, Cockatrice, easily S tier. For the longest time, I was saying Cockatrice is the king of Faustian Bargain. And you know what? I think that's still applicable. I still keep Frost Skeleton Archer as number 1 because the outplay potential is pretty crazy and he's just fun as hell. But the Cockatrice on paper and in practice is simply the strongest mob. His M1 combo is really great. He has a small lunge, so you can for the most part, keep up with players. He's very healthy. His M1 attack is really high up, so you're hitting heads constantly. He's just a really, really great mob to get, and it's in ruins, so you can acquire him super quickly. It's a lot easier to get than, you know, a Berserker, for example. And the last mob on ruins is the Ruins Golem. Now, this is a very rare mob to get. I've only had him a handful of times, and I haven't fully experienced him. I have some buddies who have had really great games with the ruins doing several hundred damage in one run. I question how that's possible. Honestly, you guys are legends, but in my experience, the ruins golem is pretty weak. He's very slow. He does have an AoE smash, which is cool, but again, he's so slow. It's so hard to hit anybody. I would stick ruins golem in D tier. He does have a lot of health. That is one benefit. He's very, very tanky. Now, off to Goblin Caves. First, we have the Goblin Archer. Now, look. The Goblin Archer wishes he was a Skeleton Archer, and he simply is not. Now, sure, his arrows have inflicted poison damage. That's great and all. But the Goblin Archer, his arrow projectile speed is simply way too slow. So if you want to get any kind of distance on your shots, you have to hold your left click while bunny hopping, and it makes it a bit more technical when you're in combat. So it's hard to use the Goblin Archer. I would say he's low C tier. Following the Goblin Archer, we have the Goblin Axeman. Now, another deceiving mob. All this mob needs is the ability to jump attack, and he would be very, very strong. Now, currently with the Goblin Axeman, if you do a jump attack, you lose all your momentum, so you're stuck. So basically, you have to walk right up to somebody and point blank slash at them to get some damage out. It is not reliable. Goblin Axeman easily in a D tier. I would honestly just respawn this guy if you got him, unless they make changes. We'll see. Next, we have the Goblin Bolaslinger. Now, this mob is actually really cool, very comparable to a Skeleton Archer in terms of range and speed. Functionally, it's a bit similar to the Goblin Archer, where you need to hold your left click to charge it up in order to get those longer shots. But if you can manage the complexity of your movement, then I would say the Bolaslinger is easily a B tier. I would say probably in front of the Maceman here. So let's shove these guys back, bringing our wolves and Maceman down a little bit. Now, one of the kings of Faustian Bargain in the Goblin Cave specifically is the Goblin Warrior. As you guys know, early on, the Goblin Warrior was just completely oppressive. Goblin Warrior is high S tier. I would say above the Yeti and potentially above the Cockatrice. The Goblin Warrior is absolutely insane. These two spots, Cockatrice and Goblin Warrior, I would say are interchangeable. But if you get a Goblin Mage buffing you on the Goblin Warrior, you're unstoppable. It is so strong, and I like how a while back Iron Mace nerfed the Goblin Warrior by removing the combo attack. Well, guys, look, that wasn't the issue. The issue is the sheer speed and the recovery speed of the Goblin's attacks and his mobility as you're bunny hopping. It's so broken. And now I'm talking about it, it's easily above the Cockatrice. The Goblin Warrior is disgusting. Now, I still have the Frost Skeleton Archer as number 1 because personally, that's my favorite. But I think objectively, Goblin Warrior is probably number 1 still. And the last unique mob in Goblin Caves is the Centipede. Now, for a while, the Centipede was really weak. On paper, he was cool. His Q, it drops his poison pools. His E is his poison projectile. And, you know, he has his M1 for his basic attack. On paper, he's a cool mob. He has his disengage, he has his poke, he has his heavy hitting left clicks. But he was bad. Up until somewhat recently, actually very recently, they enabled moving attacks on the Centipede, so you can now keep your momentum as you're attacking. This immediately shot the Centipede up from like a F or D tier easily up to B or A. Now, he's still not very strong. I would probably put him around the same level as the Ghoul in Inferno, but I can see if you master that movement on the Centipede, you could easily climb the ranks here. Now, looking at Blue Maelstrom, we have a handful of mobs here, starting with the Crab. Now, similar to some of the other Faustian mobs, early on, the Crab was completely oppressive, like week 1 early on. It was so strong, it was so fast, it was crazy. Back then, it would have been an S tier, but pretty much everything in Blue Maelstrom now has been nerfed to the absolute ground. I'm going to put Crab down to D tier, F tier. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. Anything below D is kind of just bad. You should just not play them realistically. Following that, we have the Shark and the Blue Maelstrom. Now, the Shark, I like the idea of the Shark. It's cool. His Q has a lunge attack. His left click is also a combo attack. It's a good mob, or at least it was, but it's been nerfed so hard, it's not very good. This is easily F tier. Look, Shark, you're stuck in the water. Now, you can go on land. You'll see you can actually walk on land, but you can't do much there. You're slow. You can't jump. You're just you're stuck. So you're forced to be in the water. Your damage and speed has been crazily nerfed. It's just, honestly, everything in Blue Maelstrom kind of sucks. Now, next we have the Pirate Swordsman. Historically, this was also an extremely oppressive mob. You'll see here, you can go check out my montage that I made early on with Faustian Bargain. The Pirate Swordsman was disgusting, bro. It was so strong. It was so fast, and it was amazing, but it was also oppressive. It was too much. It was too much. So they nerfed the speed, they nerfed the attack speed, the damage, everything has been nerfed and taken away from us to the point where don't even bother. Now, out of all the mobs in Blue Maelstrom, the Pirate Swordsman is still the best, so he's above the Crab, but it's simply not worth it. Now, the next one we have is the Pirate Axeman. This pirate throws Francesca axes, and the idea of it is really cool. Honestly, that's great. More ranged mobs is awesome, except in practice, it's awful. Like, come on. It's so bad, boys. This is probably the worst Faustian mob you can get in the entire map. You throw the axes, you can't get them more than 5 feet ahead of you. As you're throwing it, you take a step forward, so you can't really space yourself properly in combat. It's just so bad. Like, come on, guys, what are you doing? You got to change this. Pirates were once great, now they're awful. But lastly, we do the Pirate Archer. Again, another terrible mob. Functionally, he feels quite similar to the Goblin Archer, but it's just bad. It's weird, and this archer is different than all the other archers. When you left click, it draws the bow, but it doesn't shoot until you left click again, not when you let go. You have to left click twice to shoot. And even then, the arrow has almost no projectile speed, no distance. It's really just awful. Now, our last category here is general, which are skeletons, which you can find in multiple maps, whether it's ruins, crypts, inferno, or some mobs like spiders, which are across multiple maps, zombies, skeleton champions, and wraiths. So you'll find these mobs across multiple maps. Now, next is the Skeleton Archer, very similar to the Frost Skeleton Archer, which is currently number 1. The main difference is this archer has an ability on his Q for his multi-shot, which gives you 2 quick successive arrows. The main downfall with that is you can't move while using that attack, and the arrows don't fly very far, so it's more of a close range thing. And, of course, this mob's arrows don't slow your target, as well as you don't have the combo attack on your right click for the melee. So it's still one of my favorites, but it's definitely lower on the S tier list. I would say behind the Berserker objectively, but personally, I would still rate the Skeleton Archer at the very top because it is a very fun, super fun mob if you nail down those bunny hops and jump shots. But on paper, I'd say he's below the Demon Berserker. Now next we have the Skeleton Axeman. This mob historically was really one of the strongest Faustian mobs you could get, but since everything has been rebalanced and adjusted, this guy has fallen off significantly. And unfortunately, the combo attack on this mob, so first you have your lunge into a swipe. I don't know what it is, but I swear the second hit on your combo attack, the swipe is bugged and the hitbox is broken half the time, and you'll just see it go right through targets, and it's quite frustrating. The lunge is decent because you can kind of gain that distance on somebody, but it's such a precise, narrow hitbox that with this shitty netcode in this game, half the time the target will just shift left or right last second, so it's hard to get damage out with this mob, but I would still probably put him as probably low B tier. So next off, we have the Skeleton Footman. This is a super solid mob, reliable. Now the trick with the Skeleton Footman is you don't want to use the left click because you can't jump attack with it. You lose your momentum. Use your right click. You can jump attack and you can bunny hop with it, and it's a nice overhead dealing 75 damage to the head. It is super reliable. I would play Skeleton Footman in front of everything else here in A tier. It is a great mob to have. You definitely want to play a Footman if you get one. Now coming up next, we have the Skeleton Guardsman. This is actually a new mob they added along with the Crossbowman just about, what, a week ago, 2 weeks ago? This mob is essentially identical to the Footman, except he has a shield, so you can actually block attacks passively. You have no way of raising the shield, but if somebody hits it, it will block the attack. Now with the Guardsman, similar to the Footman, you want to be using your right click attack and not your left click attack. It's identical to the Footman, other than this dude's speed is a little bit slower. His attack speed is a bit slower, his recovery speed is a bit slower, with the one advantage that you have the shield. So I would pair him right beside the Footman, just below, and we're going to shove everything down one more spot here. After that, we have a Skeleton Spearman. This is another classic Faustian mob. His left click has a combo attack. His right click has a swiping attack. He's kind of slow. He's not amazing, but he's reliable. You can definitely get damage with this mob. I think the best play you can do with the Skeleton Spearman is wait for 2 teams of 3 to fight. Wait till they're all distracted, sneak up, use your swipe attack, and multi-hit. You can grind through your daily quests for the deal makers so fast with this mob. If in that scenario, you can hit multiple people with one attack and deal 300 damage in one hit. So that's really what you want to be doing. I would place him about the same as the Skeleton Halberdier in Ice Caverns. Similar playstyle. Reliable. Another new mob is the Skeleton Crossbowman. This was added again at the same time as the other few. On paper, he's great, but just like the Frost Crossbowman, you're stuck after you shoot. You can't choose when to reload. You can't move when reloading. It really makes this mob really just quite bad. We'll stick him right beside the Frost Crossbowman because it's essentially the same, just without the slow on your bolts. But again, essentially useless. Iron Mace, you need to make it so we choose when to reload with this mob, or at least give us the ability to move after the immediate reload. Otherwise, there's just no point in playing it. Next, we have the Spider Mummy. You can find this mob in a few maps. Now, this is very similar to the Slime. He has the same issue where you're so low to the ground. The camera is also low to the ground. It makes it hard to fight. It makes it hard to see what you're doing, especially when you're looking up at the target. Now, in Ruins, this mob is quite hard because of all the rubble and the grass. But if you're playing a Spider Mummy in Crypts, it's actually a lot easier. Your camera doesn't jump around quite as much, but it's still kind of difficult. I would put him right around the same level as the Slime, probably above the Slime, because the spider attacks very fast. If you're quick with it, he's very mobile. You can pepper some really quick damage. It's just that camera issue that's hard, so I'm really hoping they fix it. I think Spider would easily jump up to a B or an A tier if they just zoom out that camera a little bit more. Now we have the Zombie here, pretty much identical to the Frostwalker. Slow, can't jump attack, just kind of useless. That's the thing. You can get good damage out with the zombie. If you manage to hit your right click, your heavy attack, and hit a head, you can get big damage. And his Q, you can drop a poison cloud. It's fun. You know, you can zone people out a little bit, but it does like no damage. That's the issue. Now, if you're an elite zombie and you had the triple cloud, well, come on, that would be pretty sick. But all they need to do to make this mob really come online is just allow us to jump attack. That's the main thing, bro. It's useless otherwise. Now we're down to the last two. We have the Skeleton Champion, which you can find in multiple maps across the game. Now, since very early on in Faustian, the Skeleton Champion has been one of the strongest mobs. It hasn't seen any buffs, which goes to show that early on it really was quite good. But now that the power level of everything else has also kind of been equalized, Skeleton Champion has fallen off. I would still say it's a great mob to have. Easily S tier because he has his combo attack, and on his Q you have a lunge, you have a dash, which is really cool, and I would love to see more of that on a lot more of these Faustian mobs. That's a big issue that Faustian has. We're too slow. It's too easy for players to run away. Literally all you do is hold W, and you won't ever be killed by a Faustian mob if you just hold W and run away. If you're not confident in your ability to kill it, just hold W. But the Skeleton Champion, you have that gap closer. So you can actually punish players, you can outposition players strategically, and I think it's really great. Now, you can't jump attack or bunny hop really with the Skeleton Champion, but I think it's fine in this case because he has this gap closer. Now, the last mob on our list is the Wraith. Wraith, honestly, is just underwhelming, dude. Wraith is really weak. His Q, it is his lunge attack, and whenever you hit somebody as a Wraith, you do apply a slow, and it can stack. So if you do manage to land a hit, you'll likely land others. It's just tricky to get that first hit. I would say he's comparable to the Centaur. Definitely worse than the Frost Demon, maybe about the same. I don't know. It's hard to say. The Wraith kind of sucked. They did change it a while ago where you could redirect your attack. When the Wraith was first out, if you M1'd, no matter what you did, no matter where you moved your camera, he would attack in the same direction. It was useless. But they made it now so it's unlocked. So after you swing or mid-swing, you can redirect it. So it's not the worst, but it's still pretty clunky. He's not that reliable. But that's it, guys. That's my list. Tell me what you think. Which mobs would you guys swap around? I'm really excited to see what changes they're going to make to Faustian Bargain. I'm hoping they add some more mobs such as the Wendigo or the Dread Spine. That'd be super cool. But in general, a lot of these really need balancing. A lot of them just kind of feel useless. The grind, it's a big time sink. There's not really any rewards. I'm really curious to see what they do with this system. Or let's be real, they're probably just going to remove it in like a month and that's it.